Welcome, you twisted mother lovers. And before I start, everything I cover is well researched and based on true events. So go ahead, pull up a couch, and relax while I take you on this twisted journey in today's episode of Twisted Couch Talk. Welcome, everybody, to the couch. This is our first episode, and we are excited to be here. I'm your host, Brandon Stone, and I'm with my co-host.
It's me. Nah, man, it's your boy Neil, man.
Yeah, we are, like I said, this is our first podcast, our first episode. So people have asked just a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. Basically, anything twisted, paranormal, serial killers. It's just anything twisted, and we're gonna just jump into the story and get going, and we'll talk a little bit more after the episode about what we're doing.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so this guy that we're going to talk about, he's definitely different. He's definitely twisted. This man, his name is Issei Sagawa. And I got the pronunciation was actually not too bad, I think.
Sound like a character on Street Fighter.
Issei Sagawa. He is a Japanese man. He was born April 26, 1949, in Kobe, Hyogo, Japan. Though he was born prematurely, the doctors thought he wouldn't survive. And they didn't think he was going to survive because he was really small. He was a preemie. He was just big enough to fit in his father's palm. So, I mean, that gives you an idea of how little he really was. And he would be born into a wealthy family, where his great-grandfather owned this company, and it, just getting passed down from generation to generation. His father's very wealthy. If he would have went on the right path, he would have, inherited and been just as wealthy as his family. But he was always, people would always say that he would be, very skinny, and he had legs that looked like toothpicks, and he believed, within himself, like, I'm 5 foot tall. I'm under 5 foot tall, actually, and he feels like he's too repulsive to attract any woman that's going to, temper his desires.
Because of skinny legs?
I
got skinny legs?
I think it's because he's insecure. He's a little man.
Now, I don't wear them, but maybe they had skinny jeans for him back then.
Yeah.
Maybe they had more confidence. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. So it was in the first grade that he said he started to develop cannibalistic desires after seeing classmates' thighs. He would say this. He said this to the reporter, like, quote unquote, he was like, those legs look delicious. He's over here eating a burrito. He's like, man, you don't want to know more?
No, sir. But that's very bad. It's terrible. That's a terrible person.
Yeah. Well, he also remembered with fondness, like he loved it. His uncle would dress up as a monster and pick him and his brother up when they were little children, and they would have like this pot of stew on the stove going. That was like, whatever soup would be, whatever stew.
And he's gonna put them in there.
And so, yeah, he would pick them up and start lowering them over it, saying, "I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you."
It's like the Salem sisters. I know the story. And as far as this dude, he sounded like Kazuya Mishima off of Tekken. Born into a wealthy family, didn't think he'd make it, except he got thrown off a cliff, came back. I'm just saying. It sounds like you sure you didn't get this story off Tekken?
So, because of that experience, he says that's where it really was like he was fascinated by the art of eating people. He would later in his youth, look for fairy tales such as Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood, basically anything that was like, cannibalistic or like
Hansel and Gretel wasn't cannibalistic. It was breadcrumbs.
Hansel and Gretel was cannibalistic because the witch was trying to eat them.
Did the witch ever eat?
No, because they bested it. They bested her, and she ended up in an oven or something. But anyways, so yeah, his youth is where his cannibalistic desires started, and with that, I don't know how you go from being cannibalistic to this, but he then took up bestiality with his dog when he was younger.
I guess this question is about to be irrelevant.
Do you think he ate the dog afterwards?
No, I ate the burritos. But so I guess it don't matter what sex the dog was.
Oh no, it doesn't. Oh man, I wasn't even thinking that.
But physically, it do.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's just saying.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Although Sagawa did once attempt to see a psychiatrist for his urges at the age of 15, he found it unhelpful, and he retreated and continued to bury his urges within himself. Because that's always the best thing to do is when you have a problem, you just bury it and just let it fester. And, so you can explode one day and act on it all instead of getting help. Get help. If you guys are doing this, get help. Get help.
Technically, let me implode, but why would you hold it in yourself? If you're going to bury it, man, just bury that somewhere in the backyard. Don't bury it within yourself. Because I'm real good at implode. I hold things in. So that's the only reason I say that. Yeah, all jokes aside, but as far as him, man, I wonder if heaven got a ghetto. Go ahead, man.
So he was talking. He was talking to whoever he was reporting this to, and after he said, he went to a psychiatrist and tried doing all that. He then said he never thought of killing them, only gnawing on their flesh. Isn't that just like I don't know, a date night? You nibble on a girl's ear or whatever.
I didn't gnaw on a chicken bone before. You know how you still be hungry. So I can't. So he just gnawing on it and not like, okay, that's first of all he's weird. All right, this is all the way weird. But so he thought about just gnawing on it, or he did?
You just like gnawing on their flesh. I don't.
Because now you got to. Yeah, I know how.
Not breaking skin, just like
exactly.
Yeah,
getting the flavor. So he just thought about it. He ain't do it yet.
No, he ain't done anything yet. Right now, he's in high school, and he's about to be out of high school. After high school, he went on to college.
Why?
While Sagawa was studying in Wako, Wako University in Tokyo, he targeted a tall German woman and followed her home with the objective to cannibalize her.
So he's partly racist and prejudiced. He didn't even know. He in Tokyo, right? They grabbed one Asian for the Europeans.
How creepy is that? Like, could you imagine?
No.
Once the story unfolds, like, could you imagine just somebody stalking you and wanting to eat you? Just like they're watching, like they're tracking everything you do and you don't know it. Like, how creepy is that?
I mean, I know what that's like, but I mean,
you couldn't even walk to your car after work if you worked third shift. Man.
Why did he go to college? If he's trying to stop and help his urges, why you put yourself around
women? A lot of them.
People in general, like, why did you, like, you should be in a straitjacket in a rubber room, and you should be able to do enough damage to yourself to hurt and knock yourself out, but not kill you. Like, they should make the rubber room hard enough to where he can only hit his head hard enough to knock himself out to where it hurts real bad, but not kill him.
So you don't like this man I'm taking.
Because, bro,
Okay, so check this out. He wanted to cut off a part of her butt and take it away in a small portion. I'm not laughing at that. I don't know why, but I'm just picturing Golem. You know who Golem is? Like he's like my precious, like the dude from the Lord of the Rings, like, and I'm imagining him just running off with just taking some of his just running off with some booty cheek and sitting in the corner.
Had 16 strands of hair, got the sock to be there. I had to give him a sock so he could be free.
Somebody needs to get that man some braces. I'll tell you that right now. There's something wrong with
that Ray man was crazy. He wanted that, but yeah.
Okay, so after that, he's following her home. He then breaks into her apartment while she's sleeping in the nude. He had to mention that. She's sleeping in the nude.
Start adding them charges. Breaking and entering, keep going.
However, he could not succeed in his plan. You can only imagine why.
So
he had a plan of knocking her out with an umbrella. Instead of anything blunt, like something that's actually going to work and not open up on the way down.
I never thought
he was gonna knock her out with an umbrella, go into the kitchen, and cut off a part of her butt cheek and eat it. But as the lady woke up, she's seen him leering over her and just like breathing heavy.
Oh, some paranormal activity type.
She pushed him to the ground, called the police, and that was it. Like, he didn't put up a fight. He didn't do. Yeah. He just laid on the ground until the cops got there.
So you got a break and entering charge for no reason, and so I never thought I'd hear this again. Ugh. So out of all the objects in the world, you could have got a bat, crowbar, metal bar,
a bag of sand. Bar. I think a bag of sand would have been more effective. a handful of sand. We're not. No, don't get us wrong. We're just making jokes here,
but my man, he's not the Penguin. He don't live in Gotham City. His umbrella don't do everything. I just want to know. You know what? All right, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna say it. So I want people to know. If I ever do a robbery, if I ever hit a lick again, I just want to tell the folks at home, I'm going to do it with an umbrella. So if you ever hear anybody get arrested, OTV, the umbrella guy, you ever hear it, just know it's me.
You're going to be a super villain.
If he got away with it, if he pulled it off, why can't I? I just want to see it. I need to know his blueprint game plans. Like, I need to know.
Okay, so the police arrested him and let him go. They were like, "Oh, this is just a huge misunderstanding. We're so sorry to bother you. Let's just go ahead and let him go." No, I'm lying. They didn't let him go. They arrested him on the spot and charged him with attempted rape, while Sagawa chose not to reveal his actual intentions to the authorities. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm just saying
rape if he never forcibly.
But he wanted to eat the person. Like, who?
But he didn't force himself.
Oh, I didn't tell the cops I wanted to eat him. Well, no joke, man. Like, who would do that?
That ain't gonna help the cause the case. But he didn't force himself on her. He just stood over her on some paranormal activity type dumb shit.
But
breaking and entering for no reason.
But get this. So the lady was paid a settlement by Sagawa's very, very wealthy father. The following charges were dropped. The rape charges were dropped because they paid her a settlement. They were like, "Hey, if we just give you some money, we'll call it square." And she was like, "Okay." I don't know, man. Like, after that, could you? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, imagine you're sleeping on your couch or you're sleeping in your room and you live alone or whatever, and you're laying there, and all of a sudden you wake up and you see this dude over you, and you don't know who the hell he is. And you don't know his intentions. Like, how bad would that mess you up psychologically, knowing that somebody got in your house and you're not safe in the one place you're supposed to be safe? You know what I mean?
Better not be no damn dude over me. Period. I'll be like,
he probably he wants the dark meat, huh?
So I'm going to jail. Second of all, hey, you know when I do it, you know what? I'm gonna call it along. I'm like, you know what? You ain't gotta come pick me up. I'm just gonna go ahead and drive down there. And that's the end of that story. But yeah, I mean that must suck. But
Okay, so due to this, he was forced to relocate.
he was forced.
He was forced to relocate,
Okay.
and he
So he moved down the block.
he went to a whole nother. He ended up going to a whole nother university.
I was on Blaine, but I'm on Blakely now. Yeah. I just moved over a block. Shit. Hey, I told you they can't hold it real with that.
He ended up going and getting his master's degree in English literature from Kawasaki Gakuni University in Tokyo.
And just let you know, if you got breaking and entering charges, you can still get a degree.
Oh, gee, for all of you listening in jail right now, get your degrees, man. Make something of yourselves.
Especially if you got breaking and entering charges.
Or alleged rape or cannibalism.
If you got the kick,
you can still be a lawyer. You can still get a doctorate, you know?
You just might not never get out of jail.
So he goes and, he gets a master's degree. He relocates again to France in 1977 and enrolled at Sorbonne in Paris to pursue a PhD in literature. He later mentioned that while staying in Paris, that is where his cannibalistic urges just took over.
Because he didn't want no Asians. He didn't want no yellow meat. So is that why? That's why he went there. He went to Europe the first time he had cannibalistic urges. Mm-hmm. It was a European woman.
Yeah.
He didn't go to Africa. He didn't want no Native American.
That's our twisted dog, Rubble. Rubble, say hello, Rubble.
So, come on out. That's how that goes.
Yeah, if you guys hear any background noise, I apologize. It's Rubble.
He didn't go pursue no PhD. He went to pursue a European one. Or 2 or 3 or 9.
Okay, well, you're going to find out not exactly how many, because the number is, it's over 30.
Staggering.
By his saying, it's over 30. So, and it's not 30 murders. Let's relax. 30 murders. We're covering twisted stuff, but not in this one. Thank God he didn't murder them all. Anyways, this is where the 30 come into play that I'm talking about. So he went to get a PhD in literature in Paris, and he would bring home a prostitute almost every single night. On top of that, I don't know, man. He was paying for the prostitutes with his father's credit cards, and whatever they ended up going and doing, if they went to dinner, or if they went on a boat trip, whatever they ended up doing, because he spent money. He spent the money, so he could get basically any girl he wanted that was a prostitute. So he was racking up his father's credit card bills by paying prostitutes, all that stuff. You get what I'm saying. But at the end of every single night, he would always try to murder them and would fall short of pulling through and pulling the trigger. He would, all right, good night. Nice to see you. Yeah, here's your money. We're done. And as they turn around, he had a gun, and he would get ready to pull the trigger, and his finger would freeze. He just couldn't do it. He couldn't pull himself. And he goes on to say, it became less about wanting to eat them, but more the obsession with the idea that I simply had to carry out this ritual of killing a woman or girl, no matter what. What in the hell kind of ritual is that? A ritual, it's normal. He's the way he makes it seem. See, I'm a Catholic, and call it ritual, call it whatever. You have communion. You have where you consume the body of Christ. He made it seem like it was a very natural thing to just go and let's go ahead and kill this woman as a ritualistic thing to satisfy my urges. Oh, this guy's twisted. I'm sorry. He's disgusting. He's a despicable human being. And he goes on, this dude doesn't shut up. He's got quotes upon quotes. He just talks. That's all he wants to do is talk and tell his story so he can get more publicity. He says it's simply a fetish, such as nibbling on someone's ear, or maybe even bondage for you people who understand what I'm talking about. He went on to say, for example, if a normal man fancied a girl, he naturally he would naturally feel the desire to see her as often as possible, to be close to her, to even smell her and kiss her, right? To me, eating is an extension of that. Like he's saying it's just a little bit more than holding hands. It's just kissing. It's second base, third base. Like that's what he was saying. It's like it's just another way to show affection, which is twisted, and I don't know how you could even come up with something like that. He goes on to say, quite frankly, I can't fathom why everyone doesn't feel this urge to consume other people, and the reasons behind his cannibalistic tendencies can't be explained or understood by anybody who doesn't feel his exact urge, like who don't share his exact urges. They don't. He's saying to people who don't do what I do, they'll never understand. It's kind of the same difference of somebody being on drugs and saying, "Oh, well, they don't do heroin, so they don't understand the addiction." And like he's using that defense, and that's crap. Like, don't get me wrong. When it comes to drugs and everything, like when you have an addiction and people don't understand it, they don't. But like that is understandable. You know what I mean? Like it's understandable that people don't understand. Oh, drugs do this to you, and so like it's an uncontrollable thing. That is a mind altering thing. It completely changes the way you think. It does all that. Wanting to eat somebody is not normal on any spectrum anywhere. Mm-hmm. Maybe in some cannibalistic tribes and in the world somewhere, but like I don't understand. Like where does all this come from? Like why does he feel this urge? Because he had a good upbringing. He wasn't beaten. He wasn't raped. He wasn't molested. He wasn't treated badly. He was very wealthy, had everything he could ever want. He's got a PhD. So there's no general, like Ted Bundy. He blamed it on, pornography or John Wayne Gacy. He just, people would say, because of how judgmental his father was, that's why he was gay and turned to kill people. Like there was at least something to connect it. With this guy, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing to connect it. Like what would make you want to do this other than his being held over a pot of boiling stew and reading Hansel and Gretel? I've read Hansel and Gretel. I mean, I'm doing the show, and him just trying to justify it is there's no way. There's no way it's going to work. Don't mean to go on that tangent. So yeah, he's going from they'll never understand what I'm saying. Where other people dreamed of bedding these beautiful women, I dreamed of eating them. That was my fantasy instead of whatever you want to call it. That was his climax. That was his dream. Like I mean, for a typical man, let's just say this: like he's going to be like, oh, I would love. Kissing is like whatever, but his was like that's what his. Anyways, I'll stop going. Let's continue. Make my stomach turn. Okay, so in 1981, after repressing his desires for 32 years, he finally acted on them. He went on to befriend his Sorbonne classmate, Renee Hardevel, a beautiful Dutch woman. He would occasionally invite her to his home for dinner, and they would do studies together, work on homework together, and spend time together, do normal stuff, At some point, he had gained her trust, and he took that as like, okay, I got her trust, and now I can catch her off guard. Mm-hmm. Isn't that fudged up? I'm trying to watch my mouth. Man, isn't that... He literally befriended, like, went through. They probably know, like, oh, your favorite color is this, or here's your deepest, darkest secret. Okay, now that I know that, let me go ahead and cannibalize you. Anyways, he then suddenly felt that he was weak, small, and ugly. And he chose this beautiful 25-year-old healthy woman with the intent of killing and eating her. So he picked this woman. He felt that he wasn't strong enough to go through with it. What I mean, like, didn't feel strong enough. I mean, he meant like physically and emotionally. Like, And every guy out there, doesn't matter who you are, they can relate to this. Great white buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Like the one that got away, the one that you're just like, man. And that's how he's feeling in this moment. That great white buffalo, like how could she have ever picked me? Um, I'm just this, and she's so beautiful, and she was a beautiful woman. Like I've seen pictures of her. We'll have it up on Instagram and all the other links. It'll be all there. But yeah, so that was that great white buffalo to him. So in that moment, he was just like, I can't go through with it. But in the same breath, as he's telling these people this, he's like, I just wanted to absorb her beauty. After the days going by and, inviting her over for dinner, studies, whatever they may do, play games, board, whatever, he finally gave in to his temptations and went through with what he's been dying to do for so long. He attempted to kill her once while her back was turned and the gun jammed. How do you explain that? Have you ever heard a gun click, like in person? Like after it either jammed or no more ammo?
Yeah.
You got to imagine, like, they're probably in a quiet area and all you hear is, or like that metallic sound where it's click. She didn't turn around and be like, wait a minute, what's the gun for? Like, why didn't she figure, I'm not trying to knock her at all. Like, the gun jammed, and most people you would think would be like, they would take this as a sign by maybe God, whatever, and give up and not go down this crazy rabbit hole of an event that's you would stop. You would click, okay, yeah, up, no more. I'm done. Like obviously it's not meant to be, but he just pushes. It just like motivated him more to follow through with it. It even made him more hysterical, he goes on to say, and I know that I simply just had to kill her. The very next night, Hartevelt started reading poetry at a desk in Sagawa's house. And he took a rifle. What gauge, I'm not exactly sure. I didn't look into that, and I'll be more descriptive a little later on in other episodes. But he went behind her while she was sitting at the table doing their homework, like, getting ready to get the books ready. She's sitting there getting everything out. He stands over her and shoots her from behind. But she, worst case scenario, she died instantly, and she didn't suffer. And I want to make that point clear. She didn't suffer, which is good. A best of a bad situation. She ends up, he shot her, it hits her in the neck. She topples over onto the table and then falls to the floor. And at this point, he is just so overwhelmed that he collapses and faints. He comes to, and his first thing that he wants to do is grab a towel. He goes to the bathroom and grabs a towel, rolls it up real nice, and places it underneath her head like a pillow. Almost as like a tribute. I wouldn't want to say a tribute. Almost as just like wanting to make her feel comfortable. He had thought about calling an ambulance, but then he thought, hang on, don't be stupid. You've been dreaming about this your whole life, 32 years, and now it's finally happening. So with excitement, he continued to execute his plan. After coming back to his senses, he was like, oh, okay, let's do this. And disclaimer, it's going to get nasty. He begins to take off her clothing and continues to perform necrophilia. And for those of you who don't know what necrophilia is, it is sex with a corpse. He raped her dead body repeatedly. Neil, I know he's over here quiet right now, but that's just because he has a look of utter just disgust and look like you're ready to square up on him, man. Like he can't believe this is happening. And yeah, and trust me, when I was reading this story, I was going in and I was reading documentaries and watching him and listening to this man talk about it so nonchalantly. just boils within you. I mean, if you're like me, I have kids, I have daughters, and it just makes your blood boil. But welcome to the Twisted Couch Talk. Anything twisted goes, and it's going to get really twisted here pretty quick. So once he's done defiling her body, I'm just going to just doing the worst to her. He looked at her laying there, dead, naked, and he said in that moment she just looked so delicious. While she was laying there, he started chewing on her right butt cheek. The interviewer, asked, why that one instead of the other specifically, and he said, quote, I'm just very scared of blood. And the left butt cheek was too close to her heart, so that's why he went with the right one. As he was unable to bite into her skin, like he tried to go up there and just he couldn't break skin and tear away what he was trying to tear away. He went into her kitchen and grabbed one of her knives and tried to cut into her butt cheek. But the knife was too dull, and he ended up going to the store and purchased a carving knife, went back to the house to cut her open and continuously cut her body into pieces. He ended up eating her nose, her lips, nipples, breasts. He then ate different parts of her body, including most of her breasts, like I was saying, face, sometimes raw, sometimes cooked. So he took time to start cooking her in her own house. And filled his refrigerator with other parts such as her thighs, his favorite part of the human body, her head, and parts of her torso. He even took pictures of his victim's body during each stage of the mutilation and eating. Yeah, and I got those photos, guys. They're gory. View at, your own look at them if you want. He goes on to say, the first thing I did was cut into her butt. No matter how deep I cut, all I saw was fat beneath the skin. And I'm just going to turn it on over to Cornelius because
I'm good. I'm waiting for it to be all right. This is my stomach hurts. Hey, send me normal stuff. Don't send me. I'm serious. Don't send me crazy stuff.
Send me the twisted stuff, and we'll have plugs in the description. I'll mention it a couple of times. Twisted Couch Talk Productions at Gmail. Send us whatever you guys got. Your own personal paranormal stories. Whatever you have, I will read them. And we want to hear from you guys. But we'll get into that at the end. Yeah. So what I was saying was he would take pictures and got pictures of every part of the... He goes on to say, the first thing I did was cut into her butt. No matter how deep I cut, all I saw was fat beneath the skin. It looked like corn. And it took a while to actually reach the red meat. The moment I saw the meat, I tore a chunk of it off with my fingers and threw it into my mouth. It was truly a historical moment for me. It was the most natural thing in the world.
Keep going.
He said, I don't want to comment.
You're right for my reaction. My stomach hurts. This is nasty.
He said that his only regret was that he didn't eat her while she was still alive. I truly wished I would have eaten her living flesh, he goes on to say. Nobody believes me, but my ultimate intention was to eat her, not necessarily kill her. It's episode 1. It's only going to get more twisted from here. And I hope you guys are enjoying. Don't forget to review and all that good stuff. So now he decides to dispose of the remains 4 days later. And he had eaten or frozen most of her pelvic area. So he put her legs, torso, head, and the rest of her remains into 2 suitcases and called a cab. He had the taxi drop him off at, I'm going to attempt to say this the correct way. If I say it wrong, correct me. That's how I learn. Bois de Lagoon Park, which had a secluded lake inside Upon arrival, sarcastically, the cab driver said, "What do you got in the luggage, buddy? Is it a body or something?" I'm not kidding. The cab driver said that. He called it. He called it. And the only thing Sagawa was like, "Nah, man, it's just my study books. They're on the university." So, I mean, he had planned to dump the suitcases in the lake. Several people noticed the suitcases dripping with blood, and a gentleman came up behind him unexpectedly and unzipped his bag and saw the blood and the remains and yelled, "Murder! Murder!" And there was a woman on top of a hill, not even 20 yards away, and she heard the man screaming, looked down, and called the police.
Man, smell it.
So, I don't know. It was in the refrigerator. Fun fact of the week: refrigerators will stop any rot. That's why they're refrigerators. I mean, I didn't know. Refrigerators will stop the smell of rotting stuff. That's why you gotta actually smell it, unless it's extremely rotted. But if it's frozen, like you froze all of it, you freeze the smell. You can't really smell it unless you put your nose on it. So a man walks up to you and unzips your bag, and you've done this horrific crime. What do you do? What do you do? Do you run? Do you throw the suitcases in the lake? Do you just beat the crap out of the guy? Like, what do you do? Because you're caught. You know what I mean? But this is the 80s. I don't think fingerprinting got really big until 1987, I believe. And I believe this is right before fingerprinting. So, I mean, not rooting for the killer here, but he could have ran and got away with it. No fingerprints, just a description, leave the country, and he would have got away with it. But he ends up just leaving the suitcases and takes off running. And of all the places that he goes to his house. The place where everybody knows where he's at, which makes no sense. I don't. If you ever Twisted Couch Talk rule number 1: you commit a crime, don't go home. That's the first place they're going to look for you. It doesn't. I'm not giving you tips because it just. How stupid can you be to go rob a bank and go home? Yeah, exactly. That's stupid. Don't. Rule number 1: don't go home if you commit a crime. Twisted Couch Talk Productions. There you go. Got to drop the name a couple of times. So he had planned to dump him, and
does this dude get caught?
He does. I will say that he gets caught, but you're gonna not like the outcome of it. You're gonna be like, "Are you kidding me?"
This is gonna be like the 15th instance, and I'm like,
man. Okay, so when the police found Sagawa and questioned him, so they came up to his house, knocked on the door, and I mean, just two average Joes. They got this report.
Yeah.
And, they're going to this guy. They're like, okay, he's either not going to be there. He's going to run. He's going to fight. He didn't do anything. Sagawa answered the door and the cops didn't say anything. And he goes, I just killed her and ate her flesh. The cops immediately detained him. I mean, he confessed. And so, he was arrested and tased, and then the cops ended up pulling out their nightsticks. I'm not bullshitting you. Look at this. The cops ended up pulling out their nightsticks and beating his eyes black and blue. How many of you out there are happy about that? Well, quit being happy because that didn't really happen. I'm sorry. He gets arrested, and the cops politely and even told him to watch his head as they put him in the back of the squad car. Everybody love everybody. Super semi-pro. I think that's what that's off of. Everybody love everybody, but I'm going to say this. French cops, tase the man. If you're in America and you do something like that, America, they go shoot first and ask questions later. Let some American cops come across some suitcases with some blood in it. I promise you the SWAT team and maybe an army tank will show up to your house. I promise you. They're going to detain your ass. You ain't getting away. He immediately was detained, and his father, due to so much money Isn't that great? You can just have money and pay for crimes, and crime don't pay, right? My ass. You can pay and get off. His father gets the best lawyer in the area, like the best ever. And during these 2 years, so Sagawa is in jail. He's in prison for 2 years for his crime. And while he's in jail, the judge is just going over his case and going over his case and going over his case. Bagriri, I have no idea. I'll say it the best I can, found him legally insane. So the judge found him legally insane and not fit to stand trial. But the thing, Sagawa didn't do an insanity case. He was just simply just sitting there in jail, and the judge was like, oh, he's too insane. The judge made that decision. He didn't go and talk to psychiatrists. I mean, here's the situation. He's mentally insane. So the judge ordered Sagawa to be held indefinitely in a mental institution, then was immediately deported back to Japan. So he says, you're supposed to be in a mental institution, and he got deported. How are they going to keep him accountable if they deport him? So Sagawa was deported, and that was very immediate, and he was sent to Tokyo's Metropolitan Mitsuzawa Hospital. Man, mushmouth. The psychologists in Japan examined him, and they ended up saying that their conclusion was he was 110% sane, and his only motive behind the murder was sexual perversions. Boom. Done. So he's in Japan. They're like, look, this man is sane AF, and he only did this for sexual gratification. Shut case, right? In jail for 30, 40 years, life, murder, capital punishment. But all the charges, this is going to make you happy. All the charges against Sagawa were dropped in France. And the court documents were sealed and not released to the authorities in Japan. So that gave them no jurisdiction to legally detain Sagawa. So because the French decided to close the case and seal the records, Japan couldn't put him behind bars, which is what they wanted to do. I'll give the credit where it's due. They wanted to put him away for life, maybe even put him to death. But they didn't, and they couldn't because they couldn't get the evidence. So because this happened, and they couldn't get the records, they couldn't hold him any longer. So he was at the mental institution for 15 months. On August 12th, 1986, Issei Sagawa checked himself out of the hospital in Tokyo. He killed somebody horrifically, did unthinkable evil, necrophilia. In America, that is so many. That's at least, murder, tempering criminal evidence or tempering a crime scene, assault. That's at least 10 charges. So he got out in August and walked out as a free man in August 12th, 1986. From 1986 up until 1997, he accepted several invitations to appear in different events, such as a guest speaker and a commentator, and lived as a minor celebrity. So he did this horrible, horrible thing and is being rewarded. Got off scot-free, did 2 years plus 15 months, that's 3 years and 3 months. He did 3 years and 3 months in jail for everything that he done. Where's the justice, man? Yeah. In the years since, he has effectively made a living off of his own crime. He has even become something of a minor celebrity in Japan, showing up in numerous talk shows, movies. He even went on to write 20 books. And on top of that, he went on to do painting portraits of the most beautiful women of the sort, and he had a certain type, and it's Asian. And forgive me when I say it wrong earlier. When I say it wrong here in a minute. The books he wrote even included murdering and eating children. Yeah, he has even he has even starred in some soft-core porn reenactments where he bites actors. Okay, so I was watching this documentary, and it got to the part where he was making the porno and all this. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up. I promise it's not anything other than facts. So they're doing this pornography, right? And it's all blurred. It's a documentary. And so he's getting ready to, be with this woman. And you guys know what's going on. He has her sign a contract. And contracts in general, don't sign them. Read the fine print. She has to have coitus with him 5 times. 5 times. Signed contract. And you know what they did after the first time? So they made the first film. They got the coitus going, and you know what happened next? They then set this woman down and tell her who he is. They go on to say, "Hey, yeah, Issei is this notorious killer, cannibal, blah 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 blah." And they showed her. He has books that he wrote that I mentioned earlier, and in one of the books is nothing but crime scene photos. He was showing her this book, and she is just so horrified. And this is a good example of your mind just playing tricks on you, because what I'm about to tell you is going to drive you insane. It might even drive you twisted. But okay, so he tells her, she figures it out. It's done. It's out there. It's out in the open. And so the second time, she's just like, eh. By the 5th recording, she is in love with Sagawa. He's a charming man. He's wonderful. He's best thing since sliced bread. My ass. What do you call that? I think that's called Stockholm Syndrome. I think, other than the kidnapping, like,
how you're surprised in this 2021.
Okay. So, where were we?
I don't know.
Man, okay, I can't.
We've been going on 30 minutes.
We're going on longer than that.
What?
Yeah.
You
So he made money on pornography and all that. Isn't that just wonderful, guys? You twisted mother lovers. He even goes on to say, the desire to eat people becomes so intense around June. Why? Because when women start wearing less and less and showing more and more skin, it just drives him to want to eat more and more. Yeah. He said, and I quote, just today, I saw a girl with a really nice derriere. And for those of you who don't know what derriere is a booty, butt cheeks, booty. Okay, anyways, derriere is a butt. On my way home to the train station. When I see things like that, the only thing that I can think of is wanting to eat someone again before I die. Is he about to get away with it? I mean, he got away with this one. Would he get away with it again?
I hope he dies.
I hope he dies too. And okay, for those of you who believe in punishment and the afterlife hell, I hope he has a seat with his name on it and he is there and he is being tortured and he goes on to say, what I'm saying is, I can't bear the thought of leaving this earth without ever sampling, at the very minimum, that delicious, sweet human meat. At least one more time before I die. Yeah. And he continues even more. I told you, this dude doesn't shut up. He goes on to say, what I'm saying is, I can't bear the thought of leaving this life without ever tasting it again. I want to eat them while I'm alive and while they're alive, so that I can at least be satisfied when I die. I apologize in the future because I know I'm going to say this wrong, but he goes on to say, and I believe this is a race of Asian people. I hope I'm saying that politically correct. Politically correct. Um, he goes on to say, I think either Sukai Sukai Sukayiki 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 Kayaki Sukiyaki Sukayaki or Shabu Shabu. I think that's an ethnicity. But anyways, not an ethnicity, but you know what I'm saying. Um, he thinks of those types of women boiled and thin sliced and skinned. It is the best way to go in order to really savor the natural flavor meat. He thinks that that's the best way for the meat to be prepared, like it's deer or an elk that he shot, maybe a moose. Okay. Uh, he has even planned out what he will do and how he will do it. And this part's disgusting. The only way he can satisfy his urges and not give into cannibalism. Can you imagine what it is? You think maybe eating something, so eating monkey. I mean, something, but no. He masturbates to the crime scene photos, so he doesn't have that urge. He has it, but it tempers the urge to kill again and to consume. He masturbates to so he doesn't consume. That makes sense. All right. I have a little bit of good news. After all this time has passed, he was eventually shunned by employers, his people, his family, other than his brother, you'll find out. And the Japanese culture, everybody just turned away from him. The media saw him striving to make money off of what he did, and they weren't with it. He was trying so hard to find a suitable job. Okay, cut. Let's just go ahead and put this in there real quick. You want a suitable job? Don't kill anybody. You want a suitable job? Don't rape anybody. Even if you don't have a high school diploma, you can get a decent job, a decent paying job. Just don't do anything horrendous like this, and you can find a job at McDonald's. McDonald's won't even hire this man. He has a PhD. What is it? $15 an hour, $21 an hour, whatever. Anyways, yeah, he was shunned by the people, and there was one school in France that was all about language majors and all that. They almost accepted him and gave him a job only because he was strong enough and had the courage to use his own name on the application. That's the only reason why they're going to give him a job, is because he had the guts to do it. But he was very much boycotted there. The employees, the students, everybody, the town, everybody was like, don't give this man that job, and they did it. So thanks, because everybody was saying don't, he didn't have that job. And so sadly did he suffer from, it's called a cerebral infarction. I'm going to say it one more time. Cerebral infarction. And he was hospitalized in 2013. It caused permanent damage to his nervous systems. Sagawa presently lives alone and requires regular assistance to live his life. And the only person in the world that will do that for him is his younger brother. His younger brother's name is not used. I tried to find it, but yeah. And to those of you who don't know, cerebral infarction occurs as a result of disrupted blood flow in the brain due to problems with blood vessels that supply a lack of adequate blood supply to the brain cells. and thus deprives them of oxygen and vital nutrients that causes parts of the brains to die off. So he's going brain dead slowly. Do you think maybe it's because he ate human flesh? Now, to finalize and put this thing to bed, Sagawa doesn't go back to jail. Sagawa does not get married, doesn't have kids. Thank God. Probably try to eat them. Today, Sagawa suffers from diabetes, and he also suffered 2 heart attacks in 2015. He now lives at the age of 72 with his brother in Tokyo. Well, with his brother. His brother, he lives, I said he lived on his own earlier, but that's, his brother's over all the time. Anyways, takes care of him. And he continues to get the media's attention. And in 2018, French filmmakers recorded him and his brother talking. I take care of my brother. I love him. He made mistakes, but I love him. And there was one point at the interview, he was just like, yeah, the past is the past, and blah, blah, blah. He looks over at his brother and is like, would you eat me? And the only thing that Sagawa does is just look at him with an empty stare and just like gulps. And that's it. I mean, he's still alive. He did something horrendous and made money, buku bucks off of what he did. And in the end, he would eat his own brother. And we have a couple segments. Now that the story's over, thank you guys so much for listening. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. We have quite a few things to do after this. We have final thoughts and recap. Okay, recap. Number 1, he was a very small man. He always was. And he had insecurities because he was a small man. Number 2, born in a very, 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 very wealthy family and had the world at his feet. Number 4, it was in Paris that he finally gave in to his desires and horrifically murders this woman. Number 4 recap, I think, whatever number we're on. That cab driver had a good joke. He called it. The dude had the body in the bag, and the cab driver called it and called the police. Number 5, Issei Sagawa did this horrible, horrible crime. Spent only 3 years, 3 months in prison. Nothing's ever happened to him. He walks this earth to this day. And now, all right, come here. Let me show you some photos. This is a part that Cornelius is going to just...
Yeah, hurry up with these, bro.
He's going to love it. All right, so that is Mr. Issei Sagawa.
Good, he's ugly.
He's very ugly. And here is the crime scene, and...
Yeah, okay.
I want a genuine reaction. Here you go. Get ready for it.
Man.
There. Okay, here's the crime scene. There's her pelvic area. Look at that.
I've seen it. I'm not about to stare at it like you want me to.
All right. For those of you who are curious as to what's in the photo, I have photos of Issei Sagawa. It's just him in a suit, and he's in his interview. Here's the Dutch woman that he decided to butcher, and it gets down to the disgusting nitty-gritty. She's okay.
Studying and staring at these pictures.
I got to describe them to the people. Okay, so her whole pelvic area is completely gone. Just looks red. He cleaned her thigh bone. That's horrible. Her calf is gone. Parts of her thighs. Her thighs is like, that's what he wanted to eat. And here's her head. Okay, her nose is gone like Michael Jackson. Why her nose? That's cartilage.
I don't know, but you gonna keep these pictures up there, so I'm gonna move over here.
He don't want to look at them no more. Yeah, they're pretty gross. He cuts off parts of her lips and eat them. Okay, I'm gonna get through this. He has multiple paper plates of pieces of meat. Oh my. Okay. This is gross. multiple paper plates of meat, thigh, whatever he did. And here's the full body picture of her torso. Her breasts have been removed. Her entrails are hanging out, and her head is been placed in a place to where it looks like it's attached. Thank you guys.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done looking. Oh, it's going to make me throw up. Okay, guys. So the only way that we're going to get out there and get more views, spread the twist, man. Tell your friends, tell everybody, tell whoever you want that we have a twisted couch for you guys to come and comfortably sit on and listen to some twisted, horrible stuff. Give us a 5-star rating. It doesn't matter what you put. Just the 5 stars helps us get out there, and the more that you guys help support us, the more that we can get better microphones and hopefully eventually get to some video footage and all that. So it's up to you guys. Please, please, please give us reviews on whatever you're listening to. 5-star. Tell us it doesn't matter. Tell us that Issei Sagawa is a piece of crap and he can live underneath a jail. Tell us how you're going to destroy him. Tell us that clouds are beautiful and you love painting them like Bob Ross. It doesn't matter. Give us 5 stars. The next thing, if you guys, because we talk about Twisted and we want true stories, nothing but true stories. Eventually, I'm going to get on here and tell you guys about my paranormal stories, and they're very true. They happened. Priests, you're going to find out about it. It's fantastic. Send us your stories. If you have any paranormal or you survived and got away with it, not got away with it, but got away from it. Tell us whatever stories that you guys may have. Feedback is important. We want to hear from you guys. You guys are the support of us. And if you want to get a hold of us, if a guy or a woman would like to get a hold of you, Cornelius, with no twisted, gory talk, where would they find you, my man? Instagram.
I got Leo Lionheart 83 on Instagram. Cornelius King Leo Dansby Jr. on Facebook. And you can send me subjects and stuff too. But just the normal stuff and college football stuff and college basketball. Don't be sending me. I'm telling you, don't send me no nasty. Send me
he can't do it. Please send it to me. If you guys have it, send it to me. The plug is Twisted Couch Talk Productions at gmail.com. Twisted Couch Talk Productions at gmail.com. We will reply to you guys. We will. Find me at Facebook at Brandon Stone. I'm wearing a pink shirt and a black hat. Talk to me, guys. I want to know what you think. Feedback. That's the only way that's going to make this podcast grow and get better. But for now, that's the end of this twisted journey. I hope you all enjoyed the telling of that story as much as I did. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week on the couch with another twisted topic. But for now, don't eat anybody. Don't stalk anybody. Just put your couches back, and we'll see you guys next week on the couch. Stay twisted, you twisted mother lovers.